Hello everyone, how you doing? I just wanted to make this quick video because the RDA admin box has been bombarded with a lot of questions about the election and preferences and all these different things. And I thought I would just make one quick video to go through frequently asked questions that we get in the mail, in the email box and the phone. And maybe it will help some of you out there who might have these same questions. So let's start, shall we? I'm just going to read them off the screen here and go from there. Where will your preferences go? Or where will X party's preferences go? Now, I need to clear this up once and for all. And I know a lot of people have tried to explain this over and over again for the last few months, but your preferences do not go anywhere except for where you put them. So it used to be that parties could actually do, give your preferences away to other parties, but that absolutely has changed. So what that means is how you order the numbers on the ballot paper is where the preferences will go. So if your number one choice doesn't get enough votes, then it will go to your number two choice and to the number three and then to number four and so on. Now, if none of your preferences get voted in, then your vote is dead. So no one can do anything with your votes in the federal election unless you allow them with the way that you number the boxes, okay? So if anyone asks, where are my preferences going to go if I vote for you? Well, wherever you put them is the answer. Why don't you talk about X, Y, and Z? So people call us and say, oh, there was this terrible bill that went through 10 years ago and it's so bad. And why isn't anyone talking about it? Well, you know, if you understand what a candidate stands for, then you can almost assume how they're going to react to certain things. Now, candidates cannot talk about every single topic or else they'd be talking for a whole month straight to you, chewing your ear off, okay? So candidates have to choose a few key topics that they really are passionate about, and really based on what they stand for and what they advocate for, you should kind of know where they stand on other things as well. So give the candidates a break. They cannot talk about every single topic. And remember, some topics are more important to you than they are to others. So you might want people to talk about it and they don't, and it disappoints you, but just look at what they do talk about. And you know, also, if you read the survey on the RDA website, you can really get an idea of where the candidates stand and really get an idea of their ethos, their character, their conviction, their morals, etc. So why don't we talk about everything? Because we can't. We don't have enough time to talk about everything. Should I use a pen? Well, you don't have to use a pen, but it's just a recommendation. You know, if you get there and there are no pens anywhere and all you have is pencil, then you should use a pencil, okay? It's better to vote with a pencil than not vote at all. But why don't you just bring a pen with you? That's going to be better. And we are not suggesting that there is fraud with pencils. We're just saying it's a suggestion and it's probably just a good idea. I'll be using a pen and I think you should too. How do I write number 1 and 7? So number 1, you should definitely have the top and the tail on the 1. And with the 7, you should put the line in the middle. Again, I'm not suggesting that there is fraud, but if there was, we want to safeguard ourselves from that as much as possible. Who do I vote for? Well, I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. I'm obviously running in Victoria. So if you were going to ask my opinion, I would say, well, you should vote for Morgan and me because we're fair income freedom people and you know exactly what we stand for. But, you know, there's all these other states and all these other candidates. If you go, and I will share my screen right now because this is going to help you. If you go to the RDA website, if you go to the homepage on the RDA website, you'll see here, see if candidates in your area have filled out the survey. Go there, click on your state, then you will see the candidates that have filled in the survey. Now, the survey is pretty extensive. I've filled it in myself. There's a lot of questions in here, a lot of answers in here. So you should be able to get a pretty good idea of what the candidate stands for. Otherwise, if you're really interested in finding out more about your candidates, go onto their social medias, read the constitutions of the parties if you really want to. Like, there's a lot of ways that you can find out who you want to vote for. But I also would really, really suggest that you use the, and I'll put this on the screen too, you probably would have seen this already, but I really think you should probably utilize this site here, which is majorslast.com. So you can print your very own how to vote cards here. You just go through the prompts. It's really easy. There's also information about parties. There's also information about candidates, and it also links back to the RDA survey website as well, so that you can read about it. So who do you vote for? Well, the best thing to do first is find out who the candidates are in your area, which you can do on the Majors Last website. I'll just share it again really quickly. So candidates, let's go for Victoria. All right, so let's say Chisholm. So they've got all the candidates here from all the parties. Okay, so I don't think all these hyperlinks are working yet. They're working on that. But if you really want to delve into it, you can. The information is totally there. So who do you vote for? Well, whoever you want to vote for. And if you really want to do your research, do it. If not, just go to the Majors Last website, print out a how to vote card. Obviously, you can vote along with who you like in terms of parties, or you can delve a lot deeper and really look into each candidate. Remember, in the lower house, you have to number. I'll go through that in a second. Who are the candidates in my electorate? Well, I just showed you. You can also find it on the AEC website, but I think the Majors Last website is a really good tool for that. How do we vote? Okay, so really simple. I'm gonna make this as simple as possible because there's been a lot of information out there, and whoops, you just saw my notes. There's been a lot of information going around, and I want to make it super simple for people. So I'm going to use the flyer that we have. So in the lower house, you have to number every single box, okay? Or else your vote will be invalid. It's as simple as that. So unfortunately, you have to put numbers next to the major parties, but you can put it at the bottom if you want to. And you just choose, we've got a list of, the freedom parties that we think are a good bet, and you can order them in whichever way you like from preferences, but you must number every box. We suggest you use a pen, of course. Now in the Senate, so of course there are two different papers that you're going to have to fill in when you vote, okay? So the lower house and then the Senate, the upper house. So in the upper house, it's a little bit different. You have to choose between either above the line or below the line. Now, above the line, you number 1 to 6. You can continue to number if you want to, but you don't have to. Below the line, you have to fill in at least 12 boxes. Now, only 3% of Australians voted below the line in the last election. You'd really need to do your research and understand the candidates to vote below the line. So our suggestion, and it's only a suggestion, is to vote 1 to 6 above the line or keep numbering above the line. It's just an easier way to vote, basically. So make sure that, again, this one is a little bit wrong. It should have a top and a tail. And if you use a 7, make sure that you put a line through it. So that's actually how to vote without going into too much detail about all the preference flows and this, that, and the other. It's pretty simple. In the lower house, number every box. In the upper house, number 1 to 6 or a few more above the line, and Bob's your uncle. All right. So I'll go to the next question here. Who are the freedom fighter parties or freedom focused, freedom friendly parties? Well, if you've been watching content recently, you probably know you can go to the RDA survey responses. You can go to the flyer that I just showed you on the screen that has a list of freedom parties. So by now it's pretty clear who the freedom parties are. And even if you don't 100% like one party in particular, they're better than the majors. They're definitely better than the majors. So we're going to have a better country if we can get some of these people into the crossbench to hold the balance of power. Why bother voting? It's corrupt. I agree that it's corrupt, but it's also the system that we have. So if I think that maybe my vote could accomplish something, I'm going to try and use it. If it doesn't work, then we'll think about plan B. But for now, this is something that we can do. We do still have some form of democracy left in this country. So let's use it while we still have it. And if it doesn't work, we'll go to plan B. So why bother voting? No, please vote. If you've hated the last 2 years and even the last few decades, vote. Use your vote wisely, make it count, and let's see how we go with it, okay? It's worth at least trying, I think. I know. The Constitution is invalid, so the parties are too. Look, that's a big argument that I'm not going to go too deep into. But again, it's what we have right now. And unless we get good candidates into Parliament, then we won't even be able to look into this to change it. I do think it needs more research. It needs more inquiry. And if the Constitution is invalid and if we are running under the wrong system, then we should change it. But we're not going to be able to change it unless we get good people in. So our party's unconstitutional. I don't know, but it's what we've got. Even if you can prove that it's unconstitutional, they've been in power for over 70 years, and the big party duopoly is what is controlling this country. So, like, whether they're unconstitutional or not, they are controlling the country. So we need to get in there and we need to change it. So that's my response to that. Above or below the line, well, it's really your choice. They both are valid. They're both going to work. So you just need to decide what you want to do. From my point of view, if you're talking to friends or family, it's a lot easier to tell them 1 to 6 above the line than it is to tell them 1 to 12 below the line. People are not educated enough to do below the line. Some of you will be educated enough and you probably will be voting below the line. But as a general suggestion, I'm saying 1 to 6 above the line. What about the Climate 200 independents? So these independents have a lot of funding, and so it looks like they're doing really, really well. But they have tried this before in other elections and they've gotten nowhere. So it may seem like they're taking over your suburb, taking over your electorate, but they're actually paying for volunteers and they've got unlimited funds. So they've got all these billboards everywhere, and money talks, right? But money does not buy votes. Okay, it absolutely does not. So don't be too scared about these independents, because One Nation and even the Liberal Party are starting to talk about them as well. So I think that the message will get out there that these independents are not what they seem, and that they're actually very left-leaning independents that we don't want to support. So I don't think we need to worry too much about it, but we do need to talk about it, and RDA will be publishing some content in the coming weeks to help people spread the word about that. One Nation or UAP? Well, that's really your choice, guys. It's your choice. If you like two parties almost the same, then I think that's when you should look at the individual. So you should go to the survey, you should go to their social medias and things like that. Let's say you liked One Nation and UAP exactly the same, then it could come down to the individual for your Senate and for your lower house. So remember, a senator represents the entire state and a lower house representative represents just your electorate. So look at the senator, look at the lower house representatives of the two parties that you're sort of competing with, and vote for whoever resonates better with you. I think that's a really good strategy. Can I vote for you? I live in Western Australia. No, you cannot. You can only vote for senators in your state, and you can only vote for the lower house candidates in your lower house. So although I really appreciate the support, unless you changed your address and you've lived here for a month, you cannot vote in the Victorian elections, unfortunately. But you can tell your friends about me and Morgan. So look, that's pretty much the basic questions. The enrollment deadline has closed. So if you're not enrolled, then it's basically too late. And if that's you, then you can still tell your friends how to vote. So that's a good thing. RDA has a really great polling booth volunteering strategy that we will release really soon. It's got a lot to do with the Majors Last website, and you can be a part of that. And we have volunteers all over the place doing letterbox drops and reaching out to small businesses and going down the street to shopping centres to talk to people. If you want to get involved in that, all you need to do is go to the RDA homepage and you'll see volunteer hub there. Click on that and get started, guys. No one needs to tell you what else to do. Anyway, vote wisely, make your vote count, tell others to make their vote count. And I will see you after Election Day when we get some victory. We are going to have a victory. And the fact that people are even asking these questions means that people care. They care more than they ever have before. So that to me is already a win. So thanks for listening, everyone. Have a lovely weekend. Authorised by Monica Smith, Reignite Democracy Australia, Melbourne.